Good afternoon and welcome to the West Ham Voice. My name is Stel. Thank you for joining me as usual. Just a bit of an update on some of the news that's going on at the moment and a reflection on the West Ham versus Viborg game as well that was played on Thursday evening. There's some news about some transfers. Apparently the Emerson deal is back on. And also David Moyes did a press conference, didn't he? And it looks like Scamacca, doesn't matter what he's going to do in the European Conference League, is not going to be starting on Sunday. So let's just go into some of these stories in a bit more depth. So let's start off with the Viborg game that was played on Thursday. Look, we knew there was a rail strike on, and the stadium was maybe half full, if that. And maybe if West Ham had realised that, they could have maybe closed off the upper tiers and pushed all the fans further down. It might have made for a slightly better atmosphere. It didn't feel like a proper European night. Mind you, a job had to be done. West Ham United had to turn up and put a game on, and bit of a lackluster performance, but we got the job done, I guess, and that's the important thing. The Viborg fans, I think there was something like 300 or 400 of them, certainly made a noise. They're real diehard fans, and they were there. They were singing, out singing us, and they were enjoying themselves as well. The lineup came in. And I think we kind of expected one or two of these players to be starting. Areola in goal, without a doubt. Certainly, Cornet and Scamacca we thought would start as well. The new signing, Kera, was on the bench as well, which was good. And a small smattering of young players as well. Great to see Harrison Ashby making a presence in the first team, and also Connor Coventry as well. And I'm going to talk about their performances in a moment. With the lineup, David Moyes, of course, was banned, and he was sitting up in the stands. And Billy McKinley took over the game on Thursday night on the touchlines. And Moyes had a guest; he had Psycho with him. Stuart Pearce came and he sat with David Moyes to watch the game, which was nice to see. Look, Ogbonna, he returned, which was a big plus, I guess, as well. It's fantastic to see him back in the senior team. He was made captain of the night. If you remember, I mentioned a few weeks ago, we've got 3 vice-captains now behind Declan: Fabianski, Ogbonna, and Creswell. Creswell obviously wasn't available because he was banned for this game. And Fabianski, as we would expect now, won't be starting any of the cup games. That's Areola's responsibility. A lot of you would want it the other way round, but it is what it is. And so Ogbonna was back in the team, and he led the team out, which I think was fantastic. There was a bit of a reshuffle as well, wasn't there? With we had in the back there, we had Harrison Ashby go right back. Soufal went over onto the left side of defence, and then of course Ben Johnson and Ogbonna took the centre defensive roles. Look, started off well. We actually the first 5 minutes or so was Viborg, but we kind of settled. And within 24 minutes, some great play by Cornet down on the left-hand side. He outpaced his man, and he got a great cross in. And Scamacca, how could he miss? I mean, you start feeding him crosses like that, I think he's going to be scoring a hell of a lot of goals. Look, it was great to see Cornet start. It was great to see him actually playing out wide on the left, a left-sided footballer, a left-footed player on the left side, etc. And with Scamacca's height in the air, you can see these two players probably doing quite a bit of damage this season to opposition teams. David Moyes, he made some changes at half-time. He brought Lanzini off. He kind of really didn't notice whether the Lanzini was there or not. And he brought Fornals on, a bit of a like-for-like. But within the first few minutes, again, it was Viborg that started off better with a great threaded through ball to J. Roy Grott, who was on one-on-one with Areola. But Areola pulled off a really decent save in order to keep West Ham 1-0 up. And then just before McKinley was about to make some subs, Jared Bowen looks a little bit fitter, doesn't he? I'm just wondering if he's the player that Moyes suggested came back a little bit overweight. Kind of looked a bit sluggish, but he certainly didn't do so on Thursday night. He was back in form again. He was sort of beginning to get back in shape, get back into the swing of things. And he scored a fantastic goal on the 63rd, 64th minute to put us 2-0 up. Really, really well taken goal. I mean, the way you threaded that with the outreaching arm of the keeper and just getting it in between the keeper's arm and the post was superb. And then we made three more changes, of course. We had Kera came on. We had a few others coming on. Kera came on for Ogbonna, and a few others came on. Ben Rama came on, and also Antonio came on for Scamacca and Bowen. And it was nice to see, coming from the bench, the players coming on from the bench were kind of about as good as the players that were coming off, which is good. It's all about David Moyes trying to make sure that he's got strength in depth, which is fantastic to see. However, within a few minutes not within a few minutes, within a minute of them coming off and the players changing, Viborg were back in it and they scored. Now, one thing I noticed about Kera, I mean, I keep thinking he's quite short, but he's actually not. It's because he's quite slight. And you wouldn't expect him to be a centre-back, to be quite honest with you. Look, I'm not going to take anything away from him. And once he's settled into the game, you can see he's technically gifted. You can see he's got very decent positioning as a defender. He can carries the ball out from defence, etc. I think he's going to be the sort of player that we've been crying out for quite some time. And long may it rain, because I quite liked what I saw. I was a little bit worried about his height, and when they scored the goal, it just felt like when Ogbonna went off and Kera came on, it felt like we lost a bit of height in defence. And I was wondering, wow, they start putting those balls in, who knows? We might be in a bit of trouble. But then with Ben Rama on and Antonio on, what fantastic play from Ben Rama. He outpaced the defender, went past him, got to the touchline, put it back for Antonio just to slot in. And it was great to see. That was on the 78th minute. Fantastic, Ben Rama. And I hope Ben Rama starts getting a little bit of praise from David Moyes. And apparently now David Moyes is not going to sell him. I didn't think that was on the cards in the first place, to be quite honest with you. I think that was all sort of paper talk and so on. But it was great. He did fantastically well, Ben Rama, to get that goal. And then just a little bit later on, from across from Soufal, Cornet had a fantastic acrobatic attempt to get a goal for himself. Didn't quite happen, but I think it was good. And I think Cornet was another player that's actually looked really good, really decent for us. And it was great to see him play the whole game, which was fantastic. How about some of the other players? Well, Harrison Ashby is another player that was on the pitch, and to be quite honest with you, a lot of fans were saying that Ashby looked like probably the best player on the pitch. Is he the next breakthrough? I think he's going to be knocking on the door without a shadow of a doubt for David Moyes to continue including him in the senior squad this season. Connor Coventry, he had a bit of a steady game, no sort of great shakes or anything like that. But I don't know if he imposed himself enough on the game, but it was nice to see Coventry given an opportunity to play, which was great. So what else has happened? I mean, look, some of the players, Scamacca showed what he's capable of. I think Cornet definitely showed what he's capable of, and also showing his versatility. When Bowen came off, Cornet went over to the right-hand side to cut in the same sort of way that Bowen does, which was good to see. The other players, Ben Rama, I've already mentioned, played really well. But do we need strengthening? Do we still need to strengthen in the transfer window? Well, you think about the squad that we had. Or going back to the lineup and the players on the bench, you could see we had two young players in the starting 11. We had a number of young players, Baptiste, Chesters, Ekwa, and Okoflex on the bench. So they're like six young players that are probably not going to see much game time. But we've got to remember, we got Creswell and Declan coming back from their being banned for, Declan's banned for 2 games, but in the grand scheme of things, Declan and Creswell will be back. And then we've got a number of players that are injured. Aguirre and Dawson, of course, will be back as well. So that's 4 out of the 6 players. So I think that possibly bringing another 2 players into the squad will probably be enough for us to actually have the squad that we need in order to sort of challenge not only in the Premier League, but also in domestic competitions as well, such as the cups, and also in the Europa Conference League as well. So yes, I think we do need another couple of players to come in. I think we can see that there will be more additions, and that leads me to think as to what will happen at the weekend. Look, Moyes has got a number of options. He's got certainly two keepers that I think he can rely on. If you want to put Ashby in there in the mix, he could be competition for Soufal on the right-hand side. And Dawson apparently is on his way back. Moyes mentioned him in his press conference today, and apparently he's kind of on his way back. But you know what Moyes is like. On his way back may mean another couple of months, for all we know. And I haven't put Ogbonna in there because Moyes actually suggested that we brought Ogbonna back a little bit sooner than he wanted to, which sounded like he wasn't quite sure whether it will work out. But it was a good run out for him, to play in that Europa Conference League for Ogbonna was a good 60 odd minutes that he had there. Will he start? Will he be up for running in the game against Brighton on Sunday? I'm not so sure. So I've gone for, he's got choices of Kerr, he's got Johnson there, and then, of course, he's got Cresswell on the left-hand side. And in midfield, we didn't see enough of him, but apparently he carried a bit of a knock, is Flynn Downs. He came on for the last few minutes of the game. But he might still be in the running alongside Souček, alongside Declan, and of course Connor Coventry as well. Do I think Coventry will stay with West Ham, or will he go back out on loan? I think he's got a few more days to show. I think he did well against Viborg, but like I said, I just don't think he imposed himself enough. And will that make Moyes decide to keep him or not? I just don't know. I think we've got a few more days to find out before whether Coventry stays or not. And then, of course, in attacking midfield, I think he's got options of Bowen, he's got Fornals, Lanzini. Fornals and Lanzini kind of counted themselves out. It was much of a muchness. And I guess the only thing is Fornals needs to learn how to take corners again, because he was quite awful at that. And then out on the left-hand side, you've got competition with Benrahma and Cornet. And then up front, of course, you've got Scamacca and Antonio. Now, look, this is a team that I would pick for Sunday. But then who am I? I would put Areola in goal. In defence, I would put Soufal, Zuma. I would pick Kerr. He had a good number of minutes against Viborg, kind of acclimatizing himself. But we know that. But this is my team. I'm going to get onto Moyes' team in a minute. So Areola in goal. I think Soufal, Zuma, Kerr, and of course Cresswell out on the left. I would go with Souček and Declan in the middle, and then in attacking midfield, I would go for Bowen, Benrahma in the middle, and Cornet out on the left with Scamacca up front. But I'm not David Moyes, because I think this is what David Moyes will do. David Moyes is going to go for Fabianski in goal. Soufal, I think he's going to play Zuma, and I think he's going to put Johnson there, and then maybe introduce Kerr later on in the game. Cresswell out on the left. The same two midfield that I'm saying, be Souček and Declan. Bowen out right, Benrahma on the left side, and then it's going to be a choice between Lanzini and Fornals. I can't decide. He might opt for Fornals maybe, and then of course Antonio up front. Now, Moyes was questioned in his press conference about Scamacca, and this is what he said. I think in time he will have an impact. In time he will have an impact. I don't think it's fair to judge him right away. So basically, he scored a goal, but let's not get carried away. We will bring him into the Premier League gradually. Why, Moyes? I mean, I want to see him get game time. Do I want to see him start? Yes, I would love to see him start. Do I want to see him get at least half a game in? I would love that as well. But we know what's going to happen. Round about the 60th minute, he's going to introduce Scamacca in the Brighton game. I don't know. Make your own minds up. We've seen enough to see he will bring a lot to us. Then good. If you've already seen enough to bring a lot to that, he'll bring a lot to us. Then play him and give him an opportunity. Maybe even play both him and Antonio in the same lineup. Why not? He will get to know us better. We will get to know him. Moyes, you've been looking at him apparently for quite some time before you decided to go for him. You must know what he's offering at the moment. You must already know what he's going to give you. So why procrastinate and why wait? I think, Scamacca, I want to see a time when he actually starts. And at the moment, with Antonio fit, etc., and I'm not wishing anyone never to be fit, but whilst Antonio is fit, I can't see Scamacca starting ahead of him in the Premier League, and I think that's going to be a shame. So I think Moyes' lineup is going to be as I've shown here. I think Moyes is going to go for Fabianski in goal, Soufal, Zuma, Ben Johnson, Cresswell on the left side, Souček and Declan in the middle, Bowen out wide, Benrahma out the other side, Antonio up front, and a choice between Fornals and Lanzini, and I think he'll probably opt for Fornals. Moyes is the one that's talking about the team looking a bit stale, etc. Wouldn't you want to sort of mix it a little bit, and wouldn't you want to put something different in that lineup? Okay, maybe my lineup is a little bit too many new players, with Kehrer, Cornet, and Scamacca. But if you think the team is stale, then do something about it. It's within your own hands to actually do something about it. At least play Cornet out of those three new starters there. If you're not going to start Scamacca or Kehrer. And, if you play Cornet, all right, have Antonio in the middle, but then, put Cornet in with Benrahma and Antonio up front. I don't know. Moyes he confuses us at times, doesn't he? And he upsets us as well, because he talks about the team being stale, and then he's going to probably put the same lineup out. Look, I'm going to do a preview of the Brighton game, either later on Friday or it'll be on Saturday, but I will do a preview, and I'll go into a little bit more depth about Brighton themselves and about how we might be able to counter their game. They're a bogey team for us, aren't they? Right, let's finish off with a couple of transfers, shall we? Because there has been news that apparently we're back in for Emerson Palmieri. So let's first of all talk about Palmieri, because Moyes mentioned him. Well, he didn't mention him by name, but he certainly mentioned the left back in his press conference. On a left back, he said, "You know what you're going to get." This is to the journalist. "You know what you're going to get. I wouldn't talk about players at other clubs until they become my player. We'd like someone at left back to help Cressy and get cover there. I would like some cover there. I wouldn't talk about anyone individually." So, in other words, we are after Palmieri, but David Moyes doesn't want to admit it. Look, the deal's back on, apparently. Apparently, it's the same terms, 13 million plus 2 million add-ons being confirmed. And it looks like we're sort of getting a little bit closer to personal terms being agreed. So, thankfully, sense will prevail, and his agent isn't going to be as greedy as we were expecting him to be. So it looks like it could be Emerson Palmieri might be the next player that's coming through the door. 28 years of age, 13 million pounds, Champions League experience, Premier League experience, etc. What's not to like? He's an Italian international as well. I think it'll be a very good move. He's a proper experience in the Premier League. He will improve us without a shadow of a doubt. And with Cresswell sort of aging, I think Cresswell and he and Palmieri will share that back lineup. And also it gives you options with Cresswell. If we need to play Cresswell in a back three, we know he can do that, and Emerson can play as a left wing back as well. And of course, Hans Vanaken. Apparently, his club have told him to forget any advances from West Ham United, but it looks like the player himself is in favour of a move. I was really quite dismissive of it. I'll believe this when it happens, to be quite honest with you, because we've been linked to Vanaken for the last 2.5 years or so. So if there is a deal in the offing, which is apparently a bit of between 13 to 15 million pounds, then great. Look, the only thing I'm worried about is David Moyes has talked about the Red Bull project, etc., sort of emulating that. Vanaken's 29. He's just coming out. He'll be 30 very soon. And all right, he's a Belgian international. He's a prolific goal scorer. He'll sort of make things happen in the middle of the park without a shadow of a doubt. People are saying that he'll be the replacement to Souček. I'm not so sure, I'm not so. I think there'll be a role for Souček and Vanaken to play in the same team. It will be a mix, which is fantastic. It'll strengthen our squad, which will be even more fantastic. So there you are. That's the roundup. Emerson, it looks like he'll be the next player that's going to sign for West Ham United. Apparently, we're still in for Vanaken. We're in for a couple of other players as well, but they're the two that are being mostly talked about. Scamacca, you won't see him starting at the weekend, but I wonder if any other new players will start. I think we'll just have to wait and see. Thank you all for joining me. If you're new to the channel, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell notification to let you know when I'm next on. Of course, I'll be back with a proper preview of West Ham versus Brighton. Is it time to break our duck against them? I'm kind of hoping so. So join me for that, and I'll see you all very, very soon.